Hello, everybody. We're going to wait for the room to get filled. We hope everybody's having a good day today. Hi, everybody. We're just waiting for all the participants to load into the Zoom room here. All right. All right. Well, welcome to our webinar focused on Peek Across the Creek. That's a term that we like to use here at PK Young, focusing on fifth graders transitioning over into sixth grade because we have a creek that falls in between our elementary school and our secondary school. So that's why we call it Peek Across the Creek. So welcome to this webinar where you're going to hear tons about our sixth grade program. My name is Ashley Pennypacker-Hill, and I'm our Director of Elementary Programs. And I just want to make sure that you know everybody who's on this webinar with you today. I'll start with Miss Christy Gabbard. You want to introduce yourself, Christy?
Hi, I'm Christy Gabbard. I'm the Director of Secondary Programs, and I'm excited to be able to talk to our sixth grade, soon to be sixth grade families.
All right. And then I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Stevenson.
Hi, I'm Bryce Stevenson. I'm the elementary counselor here at PK. If I already have one of your students, I'm sad to let them go, but I'm excited you get some information today.
All right. And then I'm going to pass it over to Miss Bogart.
Hi, everyone. I'm Devin Bogart, and I'm the middle school counselor. So I'm excited to get your students when they cross the creek over to our neck of the woods.
All right. And we also have Miss Emily Eubanks with us. You'll see her little picture there. She's our Director of Communications here at PK. All right. So let's get going, Christy.
Yeah. So again, welcome. I'm the Director of Secondary Programs at PK. We talk a lot about our school. We want to be in partnership with our students, in partnership with our parents, our families, as we all work together to create this school community. And this is really focused on, when we say your future, we're talking about students. This is about your future, and you're coming here every day to build, skills and knowledge, and learn to collaborate. And we are excited to be sharing with you a little bit about our sixth grade program, and for our fifth graders who will be rising to sixth grade, how that work will continue. At PK Young, we're focused on student success, and we talk a lot about our PKY, and at the center of that PKY, you see college and career ready. Again, that's very student-centered. We're talking about students being college and career ready to make those post-secondary choices. And then we talk a lot about mastery of standards as the what. Like, that's where we're aiming. We want students to have mastery of those standards. We care deeply about our students developing this we over me sense of community and community engagement and citizenship. And we do that work through our counseling team. And you all are familiar with Bryce Stevenson as our K-5 counselor. Your students are going to be transitioning again across that creek. And Ms. Devin Bogart is our middle grades counselor. And we're so excited to continue a personalized education plan for students. And our counselors work with students and parents and families to really think about each student's goals and how we create that personalized journey for them in secondary. And it starts with our sixth grade program. So I'm going to turn it over to Devin to talk more with you about our sixth grade academic program and what that's going to look like.
So in sixth grade, we have a selection of core courses. So that's what I'm going to focus on first. So here on this list are all the courses that every sixth grade student will be taking. So we have the ones that you're probably familiar with, those core 4, right, which is language arts, math, science, and history. So in sixth grade, they'll be taking language arts 1, sixth grade advanced mathematics, integrated science 1, and US history will be their like social studies history class in the sixth grade. Additionally, in sixth grade, we have more core courses. So every sixth grade student will be taking computer science discoveries as well as physical education. And so something that's a little different in when they get to middle school is a class that we call advisory. So this isn't a traditional class where there are like grades and, not in the same sense that you would think as one of these other classes on the list. There is a curriculum of sorts. And so advisory is a weekly time for students and teachers to engage in activities related to selected themes that align with PK's mission and goals. And so a few of these are, like we mentioned in our PKY, but school culture, community, equity building, academic check-ins, future planning. So it kind of is all over the place for that advisory, but it's a planned once a week meeting for students and teachers. So for electives, so when they come to middle school, we don't call those classes specials anymore. We changed the word on them, and so they're called electives at this point. And so students will choose one of the following electives, and they will take this in addition to those core courses on the last slide. So their options are band, performing arts, engineering, or visual arts. So they will have either engineering as a sixth grader, and then if they didn't, they'll get that as the seventh grader, and same for visual arts. And so as far as when we're going to choose these, right, that's the big question on everyone's mind, is we as a counseling team are going to start working with your fifth grader by the end of this month, early March, to make that choice. And so again, it is student-led. The conversations are with you as the parent and with your student and our team to make sure that they have the choice that fits the best for them and something that they're interested in. And we will have the parents sign the selection form so that everybody's on the same page about what they want to take. So here is just an overview of what to look for middle school schedule highlights. So math will be every day, all year. And that's for sixth grade, that's for every grade, but focusing on our sixth graders here, our rising sixth graders. And then all learners will be on a pathway for Algebra 1 by the time they get to eighth grade. So just kind of a future thought there. That advisory class I mentioned is on Wednesdays, and they're going to have that balance of elective and core courses. And then there is intentional design to include PE every day for our sixth and seventh grade students. And then those additional core course opportunities, like I mentioned in sixth grade, it's computer science. And then something to look forward to as a seventh grader, we will have a middle school level Spanish class. So as you look at this slide, this is just a sample schedule for a rising sixth grader. So they may not have that class like at, when you see language arts first, it might not be first. This is just to give you an idea of what the day would look like. So you have language arts, and that US history course that I mentioned, and that, 85 minutes long. We've got math. This particular student chose engineering as their elective, and engineering they would meet every day of the week. And then these classes are all year.
So Devin, we're having some questions in the chat. Would it be okay
Sure.
if I asked you some questions?
I will do my best to answer.
All right. Okay. So if a student is not currently attending PK Young, how will they choose their electives?
That's a great question. So yeah, so our process right now is to go into the grade level classrooms and have those conversations, but certainly I can meet with any parent, Zoom, phone call. We can arrange a way to get that form to them. And still have, the same process where we discuss what the courses are and then get that signature. We can do that, through email too. So if that does apply to you, my contact information, is all over the place. And so that's something that, we can figure out together, but don't fret, you will still have the same opportunity to make those choices and have that conversation with me.
Okay, and so that would be the same if a student was transferring from another city or those types of things. Basically, they're going to reach out to you, right?
Right, and that's how I see it, just thinking off the top of my head. I mean, we may play with that a little bit too, because I know we have some our missions. We have new sixth graders coming in who are also not PK students that are local too. So, but absolutely, please call, email me, and we can get that figured out.
Yeah, and our admissions office will be sending out lots of information to students who don't attend PK Young currently, to make sure that you know how to get a hold of Devin and how you're going to be able to choose all of your courses. Devin, there's also some questions about advisory. It's 40 minutes on Wednesdays, is that correct?
So our bell schedule is going to be different, so I don't have the exact answer for that. I don't know if Ms. Gabbard has an update for the time. It currently is 40 minutes this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we will continue to have advisory on our schedule, and the exact amount of time that will be spent in advisory is something that annually gets reviewed and adjusted a little bit with our bell schedule. So that will be information coming soon.
Okay. And also, Ms. Gabbard and Ms. Bogart, in terms of what's happening during advisory, will families be able to see a pacing guide or topics for advisory?
Yeah, so our advisory curriculum also annually goes under review. And then as we make decisions about what's going to be happening during which advisory times, families, just like any of our other curricular pieces, can certainly, parents can certainly have access to that. And so for our elementary program, if you want to, talk curriculum or have access to curriculum, Ashley Hill is your contact, and I'm your contact at secondary. So of course, please reach out directly to me if you ever want to review, specific lessons or parts of the curriculum. We're happy to do that.
All right. So Ms. Bogart, I think it's okay for you to keep going, and we're getting some other specific questions, but we'll hold those until a little bit later.
Okay, great. So the process, right? So I think a lot of these questions are coming up, and certainly I understand the eagerness right around it, because it is exciting and things are really different at the middle school level. And so we're going to be doing this through classroom education with myself and the rest of the counseling team to talk about courses and planning, as well as getting your student and your input as the parent. Like I mentioned, visiting the 5th grade classrooms to talk about those course offerings and explaining that daily schedule to them as a 6th grader. And then that course guide information, which is the document that will have the descriptions of each course, that will be available soon as well. So you will have that knowledge coming into making those choices for electives. So we wanted to also talk about the really exciting things that happen at middle school. So with clubs and athletics, this is just a list of our current clubs for middle school, and this is across grade levels. So 6th through 8th graders can join these clubs. I would suggest you all go to our extracurricular tab on our website, and that's going to be where you can see the clubs and who the teacher advisors are and when they meet. And so by no means are the clubs like that this has to be all we have, right? This is just what we have available this school year. Clubs do have to have a faculty advisor, but I know I was just in the 7th grade team meeting last week, and we have a new 7th grade student who really, really wants a Dungeon and Dragons club, a D&D club. And so our 7th grade language arts teacher, Miss Miley, she's figuring out how to do that for next year. So students certainly can advocate for a club, find a teacher, and then get that ball rolling. So yeah, that's just exciting to look forward to. And then athletics. So again, we have a lot of different things that our students can be involved in. Here's a list again that all grades can participate in. Football is through our Blue Wave after school program. And so there's lots of options for our sports minded folks.
All right, and I think I'm going to talk a little bit about before and after school supervision. So for our 6th grade kiddos, we just want to remind you that they get dropped off starting at 7:30, and we do have supervision provided in and around the cafeteria and the secondary lawn. So when you drop your students off, it's a little bit different than in elementary school. They're going to come on down either they'll get dropped off in front of the gym or on the 6th Street entrance. and they'll walk on down, and there are adults out there supervising. They do have some freedom in the morning to talk with their friends and hang out until that bell rings and they go into class. And then after school, we provide supervision until 4 o'clock after school, as part of their day, and we supervise them. So they have a little bit of time after school again, before we have our behavior coaches and others who circulate through campus, and any of our middle school students who are still here with us after about 3:10, we bring them into the building, we supervise them in study hall. We do expect them to be engaged in, productive work during that time. And then at 4 o'clock, for students who are staying beyond 4 o'clock, Blue Wave After School has a program, and they will come and pick up students who are registered for Blue Wave After School, and then they keep them until 5:30, which if you have your students in Blue Wave After School right now, that might be, what you're used to in terms of time. If you're not a registered Blue Wave After School student, then you are escorted out to the 6th Street pickup loop. And at that point, the students don't have access to campus because, we as PK Young, we've stopped providing supervision at 4. Again, students that are registered for Blue Wave After School will be picked up and taken up to after school. Everyone else then is escorted and supervised, outside of campus. And then the expectation is families are taking care of them and responsible for them after 4 o'clock. So that is our before and after school supervision, how we do that in middle grades for your 6th grade kids. I see a couple of questions. So the question about registration for Blue Wave After School and when that comes available, I don't know the answer to that. Ashley, is that something you know the answer to?
It tends to come available in March, but information from admissions will go out about all of that to all the 6th grade families for sure.
Yeah. And then I see a couple curriculum questions. So different tracks for math, or do all incoming 6th graders take the same math class? All of our 6th graders take 6th grade advanced mathematics. And then the progression is to 7th grade advanced mathematics, and then into a combination of pre-algebra, algebra 1 honors in their 8th grade year. And that is our core progression for all students. So we don't track our math program or our math curriculum in middle school. So that's that question. And then I see a question about American history and world cultures. So yeah, in terms of our social studies progression in middle school, we are making a change, and students are going to have an American history course as part of their 6th grade curriculum leading into 7th grade civics. So that will be their social studies course in 7th grade will be civics, and then followed by a world history, world geography. So that world focus comes in 8th grade with a pre-AP course in 8th grade, preparing them for high school. So that's what our middle school social studies progression will look like in the 23-24 year and beyond.
Christy, can you explain how visual arts and engineering are going to work? There's a couple questions about whether they can take visual arts for both 6th and 7th grade.
That's a great question. So engineering and visual arts are sort of like a pairing of electives, and they would not have visual arts in both 6th and 7th, nor would they have engineering in both 6th and 7th. They would have visual arts in one of those years, and then the alternate elective in the next year. And so they get a little bit of experience in both. So that's, if they're not going to be choosing band or performing arts, then that's what their elective progression would look like. I see another question about, is Blue Wave After School required if a student is getting picked up around 4:15 or 4:20? So this is, this is something we grapple with here. It's kind of a tricky thing, right? Because if you're going to get your kid at 4:15, you might say, what we want to communicate to you is that at 4 o'clock, it becomes your decision as a parent, how you want to then supervise your child beyond 4 o'clock. So we escort them beyond the campus gates. We no longer provide the supervision at 4 o'clock. And so then arrangements that you make with your student or with your child or with someone else around to what extent you're comfortable with that, that's really up to you as a parent and up to you as a family. And of course, we're happy to talk more one-on-one and help you know what that looks like. And then you can, from there, make a decision about whether or not you feel like Blue Wave After School is the choice you want to make.
All right, and another question about after school, is it first come, first serve? Yeah, it's first come, first serve. So when they send out the signups, you want to make sure that you get your students signed up if they need to access Blue Wave After School. Christy and Devin, it looks like if an incoming 6th grader chooses band as an elective, is there a summer band camp for rising 6th graders?
There's not a summer program, but so I'm a former band student myself. Mr. Marsky is a phenomenal teacher, and I can guarantee you the way, and Christy or Miss Gabber can speak more to the curriculum, explanation for it. But as far as them learning how to play a note, how to even blow air in a certain type of instrument, those are all the fundamentals that Mr. Marsky goes over in that 6th grade band class. So you don't need to have, and actually in any year for band, you don't need to have any experience playing an instrument or really any knowledge whatsoever of what an instrument is. And he's really great about teaching them that.
All right. There's also a question here about shadowing. So a non-PK student, a 5th grader, are they able to shadow 6th graders?
Yeah. Do you want me to take that one? So we don't have a shadowing program for our students. What we will be offering is orientation. So 6th graders that are, whether you are a PK 5th grader and you're coming to 6th grade, or you're a newly admitted 6th grade student who's going to be joining our PK community, those students will all be invited to orientation prior to school starting. So they will have a chance to spend some time in the spaces, know where they're going to be learning with their teachers. They'll have some time to spend with teachers and other, their other 6th grade peers, getting to know one another before school starts. So that will be orientation, and we'll be communicating with families about orientation later in the spring.
All right. And then just circling back around to electives. So do students need to select a different elective each year?
So that's something that Devin is going to be working on with parents and students. And the answer is, if they are choosing band, they'll make that. I'll just kind of go through the examples. If I want to choose band for 6th grade, then I'll choose that and I'll engage in the band in 6th grade. And then Ms. Bogart will be working with students at the end of 6th grade to say, did you enjoy band? Is it something you want to continue doing in 7th grade, or are you ready to make a different choice? So that's what that would sound like. Similarly for performing arts. And then with visual arts and engineering, I may say, as a student coming into 6th grade, I don't want to do band. I don't want to do performing arts. I want to have the visual arts engineering elective pathway. And so then they would get one of those courses. And then again, at the end of 6th grade, let's say that student says, you know what, I didn't think I wanted to be in the band, but I really want to be in the band. And I've changed my mind now, and I'm going to be going into 7th grade. That's still an opportunity for kiddos. So this isn't a single time that you get to have this conversation, or a single time that you get to make this choice. And we're excited about students who want to be part of our band program, performing arts program, visual arts, engineering, but they do get to continue to work with their counselor throughout their middle school career to talk about their electives and what they want to do.
Okay. And then branching off from that, if a kid is in engineering art for 6th and 7th, what do they then do in 8th?
Yeah. So in 8th grade, the schedule looks a little bit different, and there are many different elective choices in 8th grade. And also that's something that can, change from year to year. So if we were having this conversation right now with students who are going to be 8th graders in 23-24 next year, then we know that 8th grade elective choices include things like environmental science and Spanish and computer science and engineering, visual arts. So we have quite a number of elective offerings in the 23-24 year that apply to 8th grade students. But again, those are things that as as the program continues to develop for students. By the time your students are in 8th grade, their choices and what that looks like could look a little bit different. So, but they aren't held just because you're doing something in 6th or 7th grade. Maybe here's the big picture answer, doesn't mean that you're held to that choice in 8th grade. You get kind of the same choices that you've been having in 6 and 7, plus a bunch more starting in 8th.
Right. It sounds like 6 and 7 is really more similar. And then starting in 8th, it's like, okay, now you're transitioning up into high school. And so options open up differently.
Yeah, you get a little more in 8th, and then in high school, then it's a whole different piece in high school.
Yeah. All right. There's some questions about cell phone use policy. Can you speak to that, Devin and Christy?
Yeah.
So no cell phones. And your student will find that each teacher might be a little, more lenient depending on the class, but as a whole, cell phone use is not allowed during the school day. They can turn those back on when the bell rings for the end of the day, especially to get in touch with people. But as a general policy, that's our policy.
All right.
If your student has study hall and doesn't have a phone, you can call the front office. Oh yeah, thanks, Emily.
Yeah, there's some questions still about before and after school pickup and picking up. And if their student is in, say, study hall, for example, and they're picking up beyond 2:30, and maybe the kid doesn't have a phone, or it's just like, how does my kid know that I'm picking them up, right? And so you just call the school, and then they will get on the walkie-talkie and call the student, and then the student comes down. Then you can pick them up. All right. Well, it looks like the chat has slowed down a bit. For students that are PK Young students, you can see here, this is our series as we're transitioning and looking into 6th grade. So in January and February, our 4th and 5th grade students visited 6th grade. They got to go in there. We called it being a fly on the wall. And then in February, so coming up, we're going to have a panel of our 6th grade students, and our 5th graders are going to be able to ask them questions and hear directly from the students, which I think is really important. It's making me think, now that we have families on here of students who don't attend PK, I think it might be good for us to record that. So then students who aren't at PK are able to see it and then hear from the 6th grade students. So then you can be a part of that. And then in March and April, we'll be doing lots of tours for our students. We want to be able to show them all of the different things, athletics, performing arts, engineering, computer science, entrepreneurship, all the clubs. It's really good for them to just be able to see it. And then in May, current 5th grade PK students will have a ceremony where they cross the creek and they're official 6th graders. Also in July and August, and this is for everybody. So if you're a current PK student or an incoming PK student, there will be an orientation camp, July or August. We're going to get the dates out really soon. And that's really helpful for 6th graders to just be able to know the lay of the land, know how to use their Chromebooks, and feel comfortable for that first day of school. There'll also be a time with families at that time too. Is that right, Christy and Devin? Yeah. For that orientation?
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh. All right. Just checking the chat real quick. Yes, July and August is for new students and current PK students. And you'll know the dates soon. Dates will be coming out soon. All right. It looks like we've covered most of everything in the chat. We so appreciate you all joining us today. I know there's tons of tons of things to be thinking about as your student transitions to middle school. It's really different than elementary school. So we're glad that you were able to join us today. This has been recorded, and it's great information to go back and review for you and for your student as well. So the webinar is going to be shared in lots of different places via email, on the website, on social media. Additionally, as we meet with families and you meet with families, please make sure you share about these webinars. It's a really great resource for our community to be able to hear and know and learn more about PK and how we're transitioning from elementary to secondary. We're grateful for your time, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to connect with you. All right.